Give me just a second to put up the slides, yeah? Okay. Alright, so because I'm sharing the slides, so I won't be able to actually see if you have any questions. So probably I'll just take the question at the end of the session lah, yeah?
Yeah, correct. We will share in the pigeonhole like usual.
Okay. Alright, so is the slides on already?
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. So, good morning. Since Azida says like we have a few minutes to 12. I'm Shazwani from Bank Negara. I've been in supervision department for more than 15 years. And I've been involved in many interview for the auditors. So I'm giving you a perspective on Bank Negara rules and function, and hopefully will help you prepare for your upcoming interview, yeah? So for today's scope, I'll cover this portion, which is this area, rules and functions of Bank Negara Malaysia, the relevant acts that govern our activity and all our roles and functions, our expectation and the legal requirements on auditors, if your auditors are auditing the financial institutions, and just sharing some of the challenges in auditing banking institution or financial institution. Yeah. So, okay. So Bank Negara was established in 1959 as a statutory body, and we are governed under the Central Banking Act, CBA we called it. And under this act, among the key objectives and main role of Bank Negara is to promote monetary stability and ensure financial stability, which eventually aim to support sustainable growth of Malaysia. Yeah, so under the monetary policy or monetary stability function, Bank Negara formulates and conduct monetary policy using various tools. And the most common one that you probably hear is the OPR, overnight policy rate, where we set the interest rates for the base interest rate of the country. So and we monitor inflations to ensure price stability and at the same time support economic growth. So we the MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, meets every 2 months also. So right after we deliberate on one other stance, whether we want to hike or want to retain. Usually we will announce that to the public, so you might have familiar with this process lah. And the other functions is actually to ensure financial stability, and this is achieved by setting prudential standards or prudential financial policies to the financial institutions, and also conduct effective supervision. Like, in other words, also we audit the bank, and financial institutions here includes banking, banks, insurance, development financial institutions, and payment system operation. Okay, so we also play a role in implementing initiatives to deepen or strengthen the financial markets, including the foreign exchange market lah. So that's generally roughly what we do, and to enable us to play our role, to our legal powers as the central bank is specified under these several acts lah. So Central Bank Act to provide Bank Negara the power to regulate and supervise the FIs. And we've also have FSA, Financial Service Act, IFSA, Islamic Financial Service Act, the FI Act, AMLA, the Anti-Money Laundering Act, and Money Service Business Act. So under that, they specify what are the requirements for the FI, and also what are the legal powers, like what are the things that Bank Negara can take, actions to take based on the expectation to the financial institution, right? So I'll probably talk a bit more. Okay, so under the FSA and IFSA, I won't be touching other act because the FSA and IFSA is basically the most significant. It covers significant financial institution within Malaysia, which is like bank and insurance, so include Islamic bank and also takaful operators. So probably for the purpose of this briefing, we'll just focus on FSA and IFSA for now lah, yeah. So the FSA and IFSA is actually established in 2013. Prior to this, there is already a similar act for that also covers the insurance payment system and exchange control. However, the act was actually like in silo. So when we revamp and reviewed the act in 2013, all of these act were actually consolidated lah. So but the objective of the act remains the same, which is like to enable us to discharge our power to promote financial stability and strengthen the regulation and support more effective supervisory work. Yeah. So okay, so probably in the next few slides I'll zoom into some of the excerpt from the FSA and IFSA that probably highly relevant to you as an auditor. And ideally, you are expected to actually aware like or have knowledge in all of the acts that relates to the institution that you're auditing. Like if you are MSB, that you have to know what are the requirements under MSB. But for the purpose of this briefing today, let's focus a bit more on the FSA and IFSA lah, right? So so on section 67 of the FSA and IFSA, there's a requirement on appointment of an auditor. So it was mentioned that bank or financial institutions must appoint auditor every financial year, and I think one of the different requirement from companies is that the FI needs to get an approval from Bank Negara. So once every year you appoint new auditors, you must get the consent before the auditing period starts lah, right? And where a bank fails to appoint an auditor or for any reason Bank Negara doesn't approve, we also have the right to actually appoint another auditor on your behalf. So I think that's very important because we rely a lot on external auditor to provide us the assurance. So where we think that there could be example as any conflict of interest, things like that, there could be a reason for a rejection and appointment of a different auditor. Okay, so that covers section 67 and 68 of the FSA. Under 1969, we also specify the duties of an auditor, which is to carry out an audit of the banks, and including financial statement. And then you must submit the report after you completed. The next step is actually to also submit the report and any other relevant information to Bank Negara for our information. And then if there is a request from Bank Negara to actually extend the scope of audit beyond your normal scope of audit, the auditor must do so lah, because I mentioned we also audit the bank from regulator perspective, but we don't. We probably have like limited resources, and we don't. We just impossible for us to look at everything, so we rely a lot on auditors, be internal and external auditors. So where there is areas that we feel that we need additional assurance, so the independent party best to provide that is external auditor lah. So there could be a situation where we usually ask, okay, can you actually look at some of this area? We think like there's a lack of control, that we probably cannot deep dive or require extensive resources. That could probably be we could probably request EA to look at it lah. Right? Okay. And alright. So under section 71, this specify this is actually for more for the financial institution lah. So for you to actually conduct the audit or examination, it's responsibility of the institution or the FIs to provide you with sufficient information lah. Right, so it must ensure that all information are accurate and not misleading or misrepresented, things like that. Okay, so this is more from for applicable to FI. And then, okay, so this is probably more relevant to you, which is the reporting obligation of an auditor. Remember, I mentioned earlier that one of the your responsibility is to actually submit a report to Bank Negara once you completed the audit review. So these are probably the areas that are of our interest, and you must so these are probably also the scope that you're going to look at. And if there are concerns relating to any of these areas, you must raise it, highlight it, and also report it in writing to Bank Negara. Okay, so in example of such cases is if there's any breach of policy, so in compliance, things like that, it should be flagged as a concern, areas of concern. And then if there's like a fraud cases or dishonesty, basically that could cause legal issues. This also probably affect the financial position of the bank. Any irregularity that have material impact on the financial positions of the bank and also jeopardize the interest of depositors. So and policy owners. So this is highly applicable to FIs and insurance, because banking and insurance, because the biggest probably one of the mandate is actually to protect the depositors' interest and also policy owners, so they have like a confidence in our FIs. So anything that can jeopardize their interest could also be raised as one of the areas of concern. Okay. Similarly, D also, if you are unable to confirm that bank has sufficient fund or capital to actually cover the claims of depositors and policy owner, that could be also an issue.
Yes.
And then other areas is like
Creditors.
like any weaknesses in internal control, and basically just everything that you think that have material impact to the financial position of the bank lah. So because ultimately our objective is to ensure the safety and soundness of the FI. So anything that could jeopardize that would probably be of our interest. Okay. So this is like some of the expectation of external auditors. Is probably some of the things that we also look at when we approve whoever the auditors are, and assess whether there are any areas to be covered under the scope of the review. Okay, so first and foremost is skills and knowledge. So the auditors must have necessary skills and knowledge to perform the audit, and also demonstrate high level of integrity and objectivity towards the assessments lah. So this is also to maintain the independency, to provide assurance on assessments lah. So make sure that your assessment is not biased, there's no conflict of interest, so we can trust and we can have assurance that you are assessing this independently, you are not influenced by any other interest lah, right? And then you must ensure that the banks comply with the rules and regulation, not only to the policies that are issued by Bank Negara, but also other regulations that's applicable to FI. For example, the accounting standards, domestic and also global. Example, MFRS, various MFRS requirement, and also ensure that scope of coverage is comprehensive. Okay, and then also ensure that financial statements are accurate, and they are not like free from errors, miscalculation, or misrepresentation, because we rely a lot on financial statements of the bank. We perform our analysis based on the data. Excuse me. So if any information is not accurate, that also could affect our judgment. Okay, and probably lastly is also to understand the interactions between accounting standard and capital requirements. Okay, as an auditor, you probably be more familiar with accounting standard, but for FI, the capital requirement is equally important. And in fact, that's the probably that's the more for us, it's more important to actually look at the capital, because if there's any